Welcome to the War and Waste Academy. Do you want to be a winner? Well, if you do, you might want to listen in to the Lynn and Craig talk about 567 problem solving and how it leads to high ROI solutions. Here's Lynn.
I'd like to talk about a tool that was provided us roughly 30 years ago by a friend of ours, Don Bibeault, and we call it the Bibeault 120-20 rule of profits. And it works like this. If you look at your customers, your products or your salesmen, and you break them up into quintiles, break them up into groups of 20%, the top five, 20%, and the next 20%, and so forth. It's a little different than the 80-20 rule, where there are no negative numbers in the bottom 20%. It's just a number. But in the case of profits, profits can be negative, in which case you may have unprofitable customers, you may have unprofitable products or salesmen. Don was giving a talk on this subject in San Francisco a number of years ago, and one of my clients was sitting right up front. Don put this slide up, and about 2 seconds later, the CEO I had brought to the meeting was bolted out the door and came back about 15 minutes later with a big smile on his face, sat down, and afterwards I asked him what was going on, and he said, "I'll tell you what, Lynn, that was that Don really made a point, and the point that it just registered with him. He said, I have 5 salesmen, as you know, and you know the one guy at the bottom, all he does is complain about, we don't have this, we don't have that, we can't fix this, we can't fix that, we're late, we can't bid competitively with blah, blah, blah." He was basically going to have to go. But what I did in my mind, I basically said, the top salesman, I'm going to give him all the support he can. So the other 3 salesmen are going to support that guy. They are not necessarily great salesmen, but they're good paper pushers, and they can do all the work that the top guy hates to do. They'll make a great team if they work as a team to get the job done. And so he brought them all in the next day and fired the bottom guy and restructured the sales organization around the top guy, and his business just flourished. You know, the numbers I don't have right off the tip of my tongue, but it was literally doubling over the next 12 months. And he could do that because he focused on this issue. Over the years, we've used this tool in a number of interesting ways, but let me just tell you about one that I think is really quite good. I had a client down in Southern California that did a lot of bidding in response to customers that were going to give him business. He'd do a bid on a job, take 4 to 8 weeks to get the job quoted back to the client, and he'd either get the business back or he wouldn't. So when we were doing an analysis of those clients that he was doing business with, it turns out there was a group of customers or people that asked him to do bids down at the bottom. He had about 100 customers, and the bottom 10 accounted for a lot of bidding work, but no business. So we grouped the bottom 20 in one group, and then we did an analysis of how many jobs they've put in. It was a simple way to get a profitability of the customer. I mean, how many jobs they put in, the total revenue generated from those jobs, and how many they didn't get. And did all of this just analysis. It's not very complicated, but the net result was that those guys at the bottom, you know, were not being very good clients to have. I mean, they just were not big. They physically were not very big clients. I mean, they just were not very good. So we we did something that really made sense, and that was we took the best customers and said, okay, look at you give us a lot of business, and these guys down on the bottom are taking up all of our time. We implemented a thing Don Bibeault says is you feed the winners, starve the losers. And that's one of his mantras is that you do things for your good customers that make them thrive. And the ones at the bottom that are tying up all of your revenues by giving you jobs to quote that they never give you, starve them a little bit. So we did is we followed that advice. We shortened the time for some of those larger clients that were giving a lot of business. Instead of quoting and giving them 6 to 8 weeks of turnaround time, they were giving them 3 or 4 weeks turnaround. So of course they were happier. The clients were happier because they got the response quick, and they could make the business decision about whether they were going to give the business, who they were going to give the business to a lot quicker. It also meant that this client, my client, would be considered by their clients to be more responsive. So feed the winners, take care of those people that are giving you the business, and starve those guys at the lower end. So he quoted 8 to 10 weeks for the other guys, and if they wanted to give him the quote, he wasn't in a hurry to get it done. So the message here is, if you have a customer or product or salesman, think in terms of how they're profitable to you on a daily basis. Thanks very much. In closing, 567 problem solving always works with high ROI, any problem in any industry. If you want to get hold of either Craig or Len, their email and phone numbers are listed below. Again, thank you very much.